I want to start with the big news, changing of the guards at the Lucio Tan Group. Long time coming, but it finally seals the deal. Third generation Hun-Hun, Lucio Tan III, is taking over from his uncle Mike, who has been leading it since 2010. How do you make sense of this? I mean, you've got a 29-year-old running a company that's worth 110 billion. How does that make sense for you?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. What for me is unusual, and it's not good or bad, it's just unusual, in that it's really a jump from the first to the third generation, with the second generation just acting like a guardian. Because the second generation was never really given a chance to run it, and they're jumping to the third generation now. And when you look at family-owned companies, usually after the founder, brothers and sisters manage to get along, and the challenge really comes in the third generation onward when you're dealing with cousins. Why? Because brothers and sisters are generally a discrete group, and they all know each other well. Cousins, it becomes broader, and therefore it almost becomes like a bit of a competition among cousins, because you will not give everyone the same shot. While brothers and sisters, there's kind of like a hierarchy. So this is a bit odd that it went de facto first generation to third, with only a short interregnum with the second. So I think one of the unusual dynamics of the Lucio Tan Group is that there were multiple families in the second generation, which may be, I mean, again, unlike other people who like to speculate and declaim what they speculate as fact, I really don't know. But one would assume there were some tensions within the divisions in the second generation. So they might as well said, let's go for who we already want to groom and think will guide things in the third generation. That's the best I can surmise. And I wish to stress, surmise.
But Stevie, a 29-year-old, he's very, very young. Is this
Yes,
unusual as well?
Yes, it is unusual. That's why I said, besides skipping from the first to the third generation, making someone a CEO after 1 year waiting, and when he's 30, yes, it is unusual. But usually you see people that age running things when they're the founder, not
Yes.
when they're the heir. So, I mean, I don't know the person. For all I know, he might be
A brilliant
extremely
guy as well.
talented.
Yeah.
For all I know, I don't. So since I don't know, I would think it would be unfair to comment. But given multiple family members have agreed to this, there must be merit to it.
Stevie, there's a growing sense among the business community and people who cover it, like myself, that, you know, that generation of brilliant founders, the tycoons who founded things, who started things and grew them, that era is almost over. I mean, you see...
It's over. It's not almost over. It's over.
And what era are we in now?
All right. It's like there's an era where you trailblaze. There's an era where you consolidate. And there's an era in between where you both manage and innovate. The secret is you should perpetually stay in the second era once you're done with the first. Because once you move to the third, you're basically becoming a glorified annuity. So you have to basically manage what you have, but continue to innovate and grow. And that really is like I go look at firms I've been employed by. At times they were basically saying we're new to the region or we're new to the industry, let's make a mark. And there's a type of manager and there's a type of strategy you employ doing that. Then you reach a level of maturity. It's okay, like when I was speaking to my ex-boss at Evercore in my farewell dinner, I said, you know, when I joined Evercore, we were 360 people. We had about $600 million of revenue, and we had about 30 partners. I said we were a big, small firm. And we ran it like a big, small firm, lots of innovation, lots of flexibility. By the time I retired 13 years later, we were over 2,000 employees and in that short span of time, and about close to 200 partners, senior managing directors. And we were at about 5 billion revenue. And I said, we have now become a small, big firm. And I said, so because we're not a big firm like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Citibank, but we're no longer a small firm that's kind of trailblazing and innovative. And I said, I accept the challenges as a firm in that size and structure have to change, but it's different. And the challenge is the challenges keep changing.
Yeah.
That's the eternal challenge. It's like, when is it enough? That's one of the legacies of a lot of the progressive managers, Bill Gates and Jack Welch in the 1980s, that it's never enough. And the challenge never ends. It just mutates, changes, and you have to adapt to it. It's like, if you think of it, the challenges of running a successful business as it matures and grows, it's like COVID. It will endlessly mutate, and you endlessly have to fight, defeat, and triumph over it, or be defeated.
Stevie, do you think for entrepreneurs who are just starting out now, because there's also a sense I'm getting when I speak to them that unlike the previous generation, the era of trailblazing, it's so hard to be a trailblazer today and grow to the size that the past trailblazers reached. Do you get that sense as well, that the world has become so competitive, it's so hard to be a new tycoon, except when you're in tech, of course?
No, it's both hard and new. It depends. Look, Evercore was formed partly by necessity in 1995. No one would say it was an easy time for new firms. It was of necessity because Roger Altman wanted to do something different, go back to a more purified model where you gave unfiltered, unbiased advice rather than you mixed it with own account trading and position taking and all that, which is what almost all the other investment banks were. And you already had Goldman, Morgan Stanley, Citibank, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Credit Suisse, Lehman, all at the time. Yet it became the number one advisory firm in the world. So it's always hard. But you have to, I think, and I'm not an entrepreneur, I've just observed people who become successful entrepreneurs. You have to first of all, you have to have a clear strategy. And again, the classic strategy is go niche or go mass. Don't go in between. You either have to be Walmart or you have to be Hermes. It's not, in the middle, you have that. Now, that's one strategy. The other thing is, there are always periods of upheaval that lead to opportunity. Usually it's because of political change, economic change, either recession or boom. Like in the last 20 years, a lot of opportunity came because of a prolonged period of low interest rates, high liquidity, and stable exchange rates. Other opportunities come in a period of high volatility, uncertainty. Also, the point is your strategy attuned to that? The last thing is what you're trying to do needed and wanted or not. If it's just going to be a gaya, I'll be another version of this. Yes, it's going to be hard. If it's something innovative, it can be hard, but at least you're fulfilling something that is desired or needed.